Hello, and welcome to the Evaluation Refresher Training for Early Childhood Special Education staff. We hope this series of screencasts will be an easy way for you to get the updates and information you need about Part B evaluations. First, thank you to the following people for helping complete our file reviews. We were an efficient and effective group and might have even had some fun doing it. Why are we offering an evaluation refresher training? Well, there are several reasons. One, to share the results of our annual file review and recognize our areas of strength and areas to work on. Two, to review some tricky aspects of the evaluation process. There seem to be countless things to remember when completing an evaluation, so hopefully some of this content will provide a helpful reminder. Also, the district is continuously working to improve on the evaluation of culturally and linguistically diverse learners. This presentation includes basic recommendations for those evaluations. The presentation is divided across 4 screencasts, so you don't have to cover it all in one sitting. There will be portions of the screencast where you'll be asked to write down your thoughts, so have a paper and pencil ready. Also, if you have questions along the way, it might be helpful to write them down as you go along. Okay, here we go. Our file review team agreed that we do a very nice job of writing our reports. Reports are easy to read and understandable to parents. It's important to remember this as we go through this training. Sometimes what is required of us in state statute doesn't always feel parent-friendly. Our goal is to meet the state requirements and continue providing information in a parent-friendly manner as much as possible. We are doing a nice job of meeting our timelines. This includes timelines for completing all evaluations within 30 days of receiving consent and completing reevaluations within 3 years of the previous evaluation. On the prior written notice for evaluation, we've done a nice job of explaining what is being proposed and the other options considered. The content of our evaluations is comprehensive, includes a variety of tools, and includes detailed parent information, so keep up the great work. Now let's dig into the evaluation process. First, you need a prior written notice. Could there be a more wordy, confusing document? Along with this portion of the training, we've provided a handout to help make this document easier to complete. The handout is titled ECSE Prior Written Notice Guidance. It provides general information as well as examples for initial evaluations, reevaluations, and reevaluations when the team is considering adding a service such as DAPE. We'll discuss more about DAPE later. Here are some of the things our file review team noted about our prior written notices for evaluations. When documenting what the district is proposing and why, be sure to state that the reason we are evaluating in order to determine, be sure to state that the reason we are evaluating is to determine educational needs and supports. We don't just evaluate to determine eligibility under a specific disability category. Before going on to the next slide, take a few moments to write down your answer to this question. Where on the prior written notice would you document that an interpreter will be used during the assessment process and for communication with the family? Did you write down that you would document it under question 5, a description of any other factors that are relevant to the district's proposal or refusal? You're correct. When assessing a learner who's culturally and linguistically diverse, there are several things to consider when addressing question 5. Take a look at your handout for specific examples. Your first consideration should be the primary language of the child and family. For example, a child and his or her parents may have a primary language of Spanish. Here you would document that assessments with Spanish editions were chosen, an interpreter will be used during testing, and that assessments that do not include Spanish speakers in the normative sample will be interpreted with caution. You should also note whether an interpreter will be used for communications with the family. Second, consider in what language the written prior notice will be provided to parents, and document this under question 5. Can parents read in English and agree to receive written communication in English? Can parents read in their primary or native language? If they cannot read English, their native language, or their native language is only spoken, oral interpretation must be provided and documented using the form SCS9. Next, let's talk a little about the prior written notice for evaluation in iPlan. Here is the first page of the prior written notice for evaluation on iPlan. It is important to check the appropriate boxes. One box in either section A or B must be checked. For a re-evaluation, section B, be sure to check whether additional testing is or is not needed. Also, number 1 or 2 under section C must always be selected. Most often, you will select number 1. Number 2 is for parent withdrawal of consent for services. Given that case managers are completing and printing the prior written notice for evaluation, case managers are also responsible for completing the dates at the end of the document. This includes the date of parent signature, date the prior written notice was received by the district, date the evaluation is due based on the date it was received, and the notice of procedural safeguards. This concludes the first screencast.